Well, the form is just shape shifting, how it goes from an animal that's loping to an animal that disappears in the shade, and you think he kept going, but you didn't hear the footfalls anymore. So you wonder, did he stop in that bush? And I walked over closer to the bush, and then I kept looking in the shade, and all of a sudden not, he wasn't 2 feet off the ground. He was lying form fitting to the ground so low with just his head looking at me. He was no longer 170 pounds. He shapeshifted into just a presence. It was really weird, and it was scary. Just seeing his face, just boom, looking at me. So he has the ability to know that you don't see him if he doesn't want you to see him. He uses the terrain as a tool. So he knows that a certain bush, shade, shadow gives him the ability to hide from your eyes. He knows every bit of that. That's what creeped me out. I always thought when I'd see a cougar, and when I have in the past, you just sort of see them out in the open, and they're not doing what he did, hiding like that. So he decides when, like I said yesterday, he decides when you're going to see him. And I thought that I would see him move from one spot to another, but I didn't. Even though I was always looking, it was when I look over there again, he was just sitting there looking at me.
And this went on for an hour and a half.
For an hour and a half. There were 5 different times where he decided to show himself. But I always knew he was there.
How much movement did you do in that hour and a half?
A lot, because I was trying to kill him, because I didn't want to keep doing this. So I would move. I was in an opening similar to this size, and so I would be in the middle mostly, but I would go to the edges and peer into different bushes looking for him. And then he just showed up when he felt like it. So for instance, I'd go over to this edge because I was camped under some trees.
Just show me, give me an idea, because then I want to look at how much movement exactly.
I tried to stay more in the middle of the opening, because I knew I'd have time if he charged me. So I had my Bowie knife in my right hand and my bow and arrow with 3 more arrows in my hand right here. So I would always be just scanning around. I was, pretty darn unnerved. So I'd just be scanning. And then I might look over here, and then boom, there he is, just sitting looking at me.
So you were within a radius of like 30 feet?
Probably more like 50. 60. Yeah. Because I took a shot at him at 15 or 20 yards the second time, and I missed him by a foot.
And you were saying that on both occasions, when you fired the arrow, he jumped up 6 feet.
The first time when he was crouched in that manzanita bush at 6 yards, I got down, crouched down like this, and I felt weird as I was doing it, because I knew I was reducing my profile, which makes me look smaller, which kind of bugged me as I got down lower. So I shot real quick, and when I shot, there was a log in back of him, I found out later, and the arrow went thwonk into that log, and he went straight up in the air 6 feet up above the bushes. And then the second time, I shot.
How long after was the second time?
Probably 20, 30 minutes. The second time he was 15 or 20 yards, and I shot and missed. I shot left of him, and I think he kind of saw the arrow coming at him too. But he jumped about 5 feet off the ground.
So was that in the beginning stages? Both those shots?
Yeah, it was like in the first half hour. And then he showed up 3 more times in the hour and a half.
And your decision to backpack out.
My decision to get the hell out was when he was at about 30, 35 yards, and I was sort of partially under the trees where I slept, and I kept looking at where he was, and then I saw him again at 30, 35 yards, and he was just sitting there looking at me, and I went to step over a couple steps to get a clearer view through the branches of the trees I was under. And then I put my glasses up to look at him, and he went like this. He goes, because he knew I was looking at him, he just went down. And then he just laid down, and he just kept looking at me. So I thought, hell with it, I'm just going to go over there and see if I can shoot him again. So I went over there, and in the interim, when you're walking over there, there's stuff that's blocking your view a little bit. So I went about 15 yards, and I was looking for him again, and he was gone. He wasn't laying there anymore. And then I go, he's going to stay all day long, into the night. I got to get out of here. So I said to myself, he ran when I had that bag over my back. I bet he doesn't like it. I bet he's scared of it. So I said, that's how I'm going to get out of here. I'm just going to put it on my back and walk. And that's how I got out. But then when my son and I came back the following day, what really creeped me out is his tracks were over my boot tracks. On the way out, he followed me.